jump. It's 1:01 and I want to be on time for all of you all. So thank you so much for coming. I am going to, there we go. Let's see. Come on. There it goes. It works. Again, if you can't see my screen or anything like that, just give me a shout out and we'll take care of it. And let me move this out of the way so I can see chats. All right, we're good to go. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming. I want to be informal for this, so that if you have questions, you can ask. It looks like more people are coming in, which is awesome. Thank you so much for coming. For those of you that don't know, my name is Brandon Lee, and I am a co-founder of Fist Bump, and I am a co-host of now Social Selling HQ. If any of you were on the show yesterday, but it was formerly known as Social Selling for Newbies. And then Fist Bump is our social commenting tool that I will share a little bit with you today. But today is really more just to help you learn a social prospecting sequence, call it a workflow, if you will, that we have found over the years has just worked really well. And let me give you a little bit of background on it so you understand. Fist Bump, and this is important for me, for you all to know, Fist Bump came about because I realized and learned with customers the value of social commenting. And we started using spreadsheets. And you can imagine we had all these columns. I was going in and pulling the URL of people's LinkedIn profiles and their post activity feed and putting it in spreadsheets. And then I was making all these notes and trying to figure out a system for commenting on a regular basis in order to make it like a traditional outreach. So that's why Fist Bump came about. And what I'm going to show you today is the system that we developed over those years with customers. And the value of it is, I put this later in the deck, but 80% increase in accepted connection requests, which somebody might be thinking, wow, that's great. And I think it's good. But I think what's more important is how many of those connection requests do we move into opportunities? And that's where we saw an average of 30%, fluctuated around there, but a 30% increase in first conversations with ideal customers. That is what I think is much more important. And then the data that went from the conversation into the opportunity and deal close, it varied by company. As you would imagine, it varies by skill set of the salesperson, their product, their pricing, all these other things. So I don't talk as much about that data, but what I do talk about is what we've really focused on, what I focused on since 2018 is how do we use LinkedIn more conversational? How do we use LinkedIn more like a networking event and not like a pitch slapping fest that it's become? So let's talk about, let's jump into it and we'll talk about it. I like to focus the beginning on just thinking about how modern buyers buy. I'd like for you all to take a pause and think about the way you buy. One of these big aha moments that came to me was when one of our consulting customers, she had this aha moment when she said, wait a minute, I just realized I wouldn't buy my own product based on the way that we sell. And think about that for a moment. Is the way that your company sells consistent with the way that you would choose to buy? And if it's not, then you've got a problem that you need to address. So let's take a look at the way modern buyers buy. When I started in sales back in the 90s, I used to think I was really good at cold calling and cold knocking until later I realized that it wasn't that I was that great at it. I got good at it, but I also realized that buyers needed sellers for information, and buyers don't need sellers for information anymore. So the way buyers buy is they are the center of their world. And if they don't need to take a cold call in order to talk to a salesperson, in order to learn information, then sellers, we got to figure out how we get their attention differently. And the way modern buyers buy now is they sit in their little world and they surround themselves with information, and they surround themselves with people who they know, they like, and they trust. Now, know, like, and trust has changed over the years. I might know somebody because I see them on LinkedIn a lot. I might know somebody because I see their YouTube channel or I read their blog. But know, like, and trust, what we now do is we use our phones and we use subscribing to newsletters or YouTube channels or shows. We allow information into our lives, and therefore the people that produce that information, and we reject people who we don't want to speak with. So with modern buyers, they allow information in, but then you've got these other voices that are on the outside, call it vendors or unsolicited calls. And what we all can do now, and what our buyers do, is they go, and they've got these tools to keep out unsolicited communication. Call it a do not call list, call it caller ID, spam folders, unsubscribe, disconnect, no, I won't take your connection because you're probably going to send me a pitch slap. All of those things, we have tools to keep people out. And so when we are using, or we're trying to use cold methods or interrupted methods, we have a lot more challenges than we did before. Now, I want to say this. I am not one of these purist social selling people that it's just social selling's the only way. And I don't say cold calling's dead, and I don't think email is dead. But I think from a cold outreach perspective, it's a lot more challenging. So what do we do when these walls are getting fortified and they're stronger and stronger? Oh, and by the way, with that animation, if we overstep now, like we're friends or we're colleagues with somebody and we pitch slap them, or we try to sell when they don't want to be sold, or we overstep, or we send too many messages of going, hey, I want to talk, I want to talk, I want to talk. It's really easy for people to kick us out of their circle of trust, as I call it. So the question is, as sellers, we're out here outside the circle of trust. How do we get ourselves into the circle of trust? Now, on this today, we have 30 minutes and we're only focused on social prospecting. So I'm going to jump to that part. But if you've seen any of my other content or any of my other training, you know, there's some layers that go with this from the corporate marketing side as well. But for salespeople, let's take a look at the psychology of selling real quick. And then I promise we're going to get tactical. But Cialdini wrote this book, and I'm gonna age myself here, but I did my senior thesis in my undergraduate work in college on influence. And this book was the primary book that I used in my research. There's 6 key factors that play into our ability to create influence, or to be able to influence our buyers to want to speak with us. Reciprocity, commitment and consistency, social proof, liking, authority, and scarcity. Here's why I share those with you. When we are active in social media and we are using comments to be seen, to share value, share things that we know, encourage other people, things like that, we're actually checking off several of these boxes. Reciprocity, when we comment on someone's comment or we comment on their post, I mean, we've all heard about the dopamine, but we're actually encouraging them, right? Think about your own. When you comment or you post and somebody responds, don't we go, woohoo, right? We feel good. And as we know from one of my other favorite books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, then when people feel good and we're the source of that, then they like us. And there's that sense of reciprocity. Commitment and consistency, when we're consistent with our commenting, they're constantly seeing us, they get notifications from LinkedIn, they're like, this person's always there, there builds some trust. So there's liking, there's authority built into it. When we're sharing high quality stuff, our comments are on target. So we're really tapping into the psychology of this. And this is going to be really important when it comes to sending the connection request. So let's get into, this is the tangible. This is something that I believe anybody could actually start implementing today. What is this social prospecting framework, workflow, sequence, whatever term you prefer the best? I actually prefer sequence, but this is what we've developed over the years and continue to refine. Excuse me. So our first step, and I want you to hear this, the first step is do not send a connection request. With our prospects, we want to get to know them. The first step that we do is we're going to engage. I'm going to pause here for a moment because I want to address what probably 50% of you already put in your head is, my customers don't publish content. Let's address this a couple of ways. Number one, more and more people are publishing content because of AI. That could be good, that could be bad, but the reality is more will be publishing. However, what's more important is, are your customers active in LinkedIn? Now, you may have a prospect that you want to speak to in a company and they may not be as active, but are there other people in the company active in LinkedIn as well? So we're going to look at who we want to meet. Are they active with publishing content? If they are, that's a huge opportunity. Become a commenter. Don't move forward, just comment on their activity. But if they're not creating their own, publishing their own post, as long as they're active, they comment and like other people's posts, this workflow still works because we take advantage of the notifications that LinkedIn will send them when we do the comment. So as long as they're commenting or liking other people's posts, this still works. And then the third option is, if some people in the company are active on LinkedIn, go engage with them, build the rapport with them, and then ask for the referral or the introduction to the person that you want to speak with. Again, we can deep dive all those. In the sake of time today, I'm going to leave it right there. Now, here's the framework. We identify the person. We engage, which means we go and we engage with their post activity. We comment on something they've published. We comment on a comment, or we comment on a post that they commented on, or we comment on a post they liked. We wait 3 days and we engage again. We wait 3 days, my animation's off, sorry about that. We wait 3 more days and we engage again. And what are we doing? Every time we engage, they get notifications. Sometimes it's inside of LinkedIn, but as you all probably have received before, sometimes LinkedIn sends us an email. You've seen those, will be like, hey, Brandon Lee commented on a post that you liked, and they even sometimes give you your picture. Like you might get my picture, my name, the headline, and be like, hey, Bob or Susie commented on a post that you liked. And then the big call to action button they say is click to join the conversation. Right? LinkedIn's motivated to get all of us coming back into LinkedIn. So this is how we can take advantage of that. When we comment, notifications go out. Now, here's a cool little power tip. When you comment on posts that the company has published, generally think about your own company. When your company posts, who goes and likes the post most? People from your company. So it's the same thing with your prospective customers. You go to their company page and you look at those posts and you comment and you say intelligent things there, the notifications are going out to everybody that's liked that post, and most of them are usually employees of the company. Just a little power tip. So we've now engaged 3 times. Wait 3 days in between. We engaged the 3rd time. And now what we do is we send a connection request. So engage, wait 3 days, engage, wait 3 days, engage, wait 3 days, send a connection request. Now, this is where it's really important. that connection request, here's the style or here's the template that I do. And I see Tom's name on here, Tom. Hey, Tom, I don't know about you, but I keep seeing you in my newsfeed. Now pause for a second. I'm not lying. It's just I've made that happen through my commenting activities, because the more I comment on their activities, the more I am going to see them in my newsfeed. And the more they're going to see me in their newsfeed, and they're going to see me in their notifications. So, hey, Tom, not sure about you, but I keep seeing you in my newsfeed. We seem to be engaging with a lot of the same posts. You could even reference a specific post if you want. But we seem to be engaging with a lot of the same post. I realized in looking at your profile that we're not connected. Is it okay for us to connect? And your name, that's it. Now, a couple things are going on there. I want to bring up to their attention that they've seen notifications about me, right? We're all busy, but I want to bring it to the surface. I want them to go, oh yeah, I've seen this person. Where have I seen them? Right? We need to stand out from all of our competition. We need to stand out from the sea of sameness that is LinkedIn. We need to stand out from all of the other messages or all the competitors are trying to get their attention. So I like to bring that up. I keep seeing you in my news feed. We seem to be commenting or engaging with the same post. I realized that we're not connected. Is it okay if we connect? Now, it's my style. I like the question, is it okay for us to connect? I get a lot of feedback with that where people say, thank you so much for asking me, or thank you that you didn't just assume. I believe for me, it's a very honoring thing to do, to ask them if it's okay. It's a small little detail, but as Carson says on the show, any little thing that we can do to increase the probability of success is important. So I ask the question instead of just assume. Then what we do is we say thank you when they accept it. Nothing else. My go-to, thank you, Tom, for accepting my request. I hope you have an awesome day. If you guys learned anything about me, I love the word awesome. It's a habit. Haven't figured out how to break it. Honestly, don't want to break it. Like the word. I think it's cool. But that's my go-to. Hope you have an awesome day. And I leave it. And then I will engage again. And then after I engage that fourth time, so after they've accepted my connection request, after I've said thank you, I engage one more time. And after that one, I will immediately go to my next action step. And in this case, I put in here, ask for a chat. It could be whatever you want, but I love to move to the chat. And here's what the message for ask for a chat is. I go back and say, Tom, I commented again on a post and realized that you also commented on it. You popped up in my newsfeed again. We seem to be knocking around the same network. We seem to be commenting on the same posts, anything along those lines, but we seem to be in the same network is a sentence or phrase that I like to use because I want to bring that, I want to create that we are in the same network. And then I'll say, would you be open for a short conversation to meet each other? That's it. Now, one little caveat in there, and I'm trying to make this all focus on 30 minutes, but if your LinkedIn profile is all about what an awesome salesperson you are and crushing quota and President's Club and all that, they may look at that and go, no, I'm not going to go for a chat. But when your profile is more human, as I like to say, it's more conversational, it's more friendly, then that's where we get that increase in those accepted conversations for a chat. We can go in that more detail inside the community and things, but that's the basic framework. I'll say that sometimes on the ask for a chat, they may ask, sure, what do you have in mind? Right? They're kind of, they want to filter out, is this a sales call? Now for me, and this is my style, that conversation for me, I do not make it a sales call unless they lead it there. But for me, that is a 15-minute, like a networking event. get to know each other. That's it. I want to build a healthy rapport and a healthy connection with them, not anything else. Okay, there's the framework. And now what a lot of questions end up coming up is, okay, well, what do I say when I comment? And I don't know why my animation's off. Sorry, I'm gonna have to go back in and fix this one. But let's take a look at the commenting styles. I realized that commenting was so important, and I'm a total nerd at heart. And if you guys know it, my goal initially was to get a PhD and be a professor. And then after my master's degree, I ended up starting a company, and kind of the rest was history. But I love research, and I love scholarly journals around communication and psychology and influence. Obviously, that's why I do what I do. But I started looking at communication styles. And then I started applying it into commenting. And what we created is 10 commenting styles. And what we've identified is people have a tendency, just like you have a tendency for communicating in a certain way, just like a DISC profile tells you your tendencies, like Myers-Briggs tells you your personality tendencies. We all kind of have tendencies, we all have tendencies to communicate in certain ways. And we've called those commenting styles. And what we've discovered is as individuals began to identify their style, it gave them confidence to comment, which gave them more consistency in commenting. So I've got a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn, and I've got a blog article on the different commenting styles. If you want access to that, you can find it on LinkedIn. But the other thing that we did is we created a commenting style assessment tool. So if you're interested, you're curious about this, you can go to getfistbumps.com/comment-style, and it'll, take you 6, 7, 10 minutes if you really overthink, or not overthink, but think a bit about your posts. But you can go there and you'll discover your primary and your secondary commenting style, what each one of those mean, and give you some insights into the strengths of each one of those. And of course, our goal is that encourages you and empowers you to be more confident and comment more often. And then, of course, look, today was about training and showing you that commenting framework. But if you are interested, Fistbump is a commenting task management tool. It will lead you through different workflows like the one that I showed you today. In fact, it's a preset, already done workflow in there for prospecting, but it'll lead you through that. Once you add somebody to that list and you comment, 3 days later, it'll give you a new task. So you log into LinkedIn, you hit Fistbump, and it tells you exactly what to do. You can go check it out there. And we have a bunch of free onboarding sessions around LinkedIn, around Fistbump, if that is something that you want to do. All right, I'm going to open it up to questions if you're interested. I think I unmuted everybody because I think there's 14 of us in here. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand, or I will unmute you, or you can chat it. No, the chat was disabled, but I'm open for questions if you have any. Perfect. Joseph, you are unmuted. So if you'd like to share something with me, just unmute yourself.
Hey, Brandon. Yep. I was curious. The audio just cut out right when you had mentioned that some of the prospects come back with, sure, what did you want to chat about? What was your kind of go-to there?
Yeah, my go-to is I will go in kind of hardcore defense mode, if you will. I'll go, look, I'm really not trying to sell you anything. And in my heart of hearts, I'm not. In that call, I am not trying to sell. I am just trying to develop rapport and relationship and get to know somebody. At the core of who I am and the way I sell, I love to serve. I love to get to know people. And so that conversation for me, like I said before, I do not sell unless they ask me more, and say, like, what do you do? And I'll tell them a little bit. Like, I've got a 5-second little thing. and I stop. Like I don't overstep. But if they go, well, tell me more, then I will take that as an invitation. But I'll just say, I'm really not trying to sell you anything. We're in the same networks. I'd love to get to know you and meet you. I like to turn my LinkedIn connections into real connections, anything along those lines that kind of fits your style.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool. Let's see. Susan, you are unmuted now.
Unmute. Hey, how are you?
I'm well. Long time no talk.
No talk, I know. So I love this, as you know, one of my big stumbling blocks is knowing what to comment. So just what you've told us so far about the different styles, that's a big help. And I'm going to go to that web link that you gave. When you do the training and like say after someone gets fist bump and you do the live trainings, do you get into that?
On the commenting styles?
Like, do you give suggestions of things that you can say that,
Yeah, I'll keep doing these. So I do these trainings every Thursday, and I've got really 5 topics. I mean, they're all related to this, but you guys let me know, put feedback in there or message me on LinkedIn. You want me to deep dive in commenting styles, I'll be glad to do that. And then the other thing is go into our community, which we're now calling, it'll change to Social Selling HQ, but right now it's modernsellerhq.com. It's the free community. Go in there and ask questions. We have free training webinars in there all the time. Mariana Lima did one this afternoon or this morning on content. I think we have 7 coaches in there now, and we all do different trainings. So please feel free to go in there. But yeah, I'll be glad to do one of these on a Thursday around comment styles if you're interested.
Can you give us the URL one more time for that?
Sure. Let me pull that back up. There you go. It's getfistbumps.com/comment-style.
No, I mean for your group.
Oh, modernsellerhq.com.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. And look, I don't sell well in this case because I like to give, but within Modern Seller HQ, I also have a paid community there called Inner Circle. If that's of interest to you, go there and check it out. And that's where you get all my stuff, all my training, coaching, everything in there.
Sounds great.
Thank you. Bob Britton, you are unmuted on my end if you'd like to ask your question.
So, how are you?
I'm good, Bob. How are you?
Good.
Coming.
Here, now you can see me. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, one of the things about really kind of getting into the groove of commenting is I find that if I pick a topic that I really want to pull apart, I hashtag that into LinkedIn. And if anybody else is throwing up comments about that particular hashtag, it makes it much easier than to try and synthesize something out of thin air. Like, what do I comment on?
Yes.
So if you're like, for example, right now, suppose we're going to be talking about this right here, how to start a conversation. If you hashtag start a conversation, you're going to pull up other people that are commenting on the same thing.
Yep.
So it's a great way to really kind of focus on who it is you're going to be connecting with and about the topic, rather than just simply saying, okay, I'm talking to somebody, I have no idea who they are, but now I got to synthesize something out of thin air. So get yourself into the mood for talking about something and then hashtag it. And then you can have a whole bunch of people that you can talk to.
Yeah, that was great advice. And I would extend that a little bit too, Bob, and thank you for sharing that. When you see your prospects publishing, or you go to their company page and you see what they publish, look at the hashtags they use and go do a hashtag search and see what everyone else is talking about around it. It's a great way to get your own intel. It's a great way to educate yourself. And then when you go to comment on something, you have all this information ready and available in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks for adding that, Bob. That's huge.
Sure.
All right. Joseph, I can't tell if your hand went back up or it just didn't go back down, but if you have another question, I'd love to hear it.
I don't think I raised my hand again, but
Okay.
I've got tons of questions, but
Okay.
get to someone else if you have more in the queue.
Yeah, let me scroll through it. If anyone else has questions, either jump in or raise a hand, either way. Joseph, why don't you go ahead and ask another question then?
Okay, yeah. So I've used
I'll stay, guys, real quick, sorry. I'm good until 1:45, so I'll stay as long as you guys have questions.
Awesome. I use awesome a lot too.
Awesome.
So, so I've used fist bump now for 4 consecutive days. The feedback, the amount of replies has been incredible, incredible. So there's a couple things though that I'm curious about, knowing that you've used this for a longer period of time.
Mhm.
I've got one of my prospects, and it's with a manufacturer. So I'm a Microsoft partner, and we use the manufacturers for our ecosystem. And I want to stay top of mind with the manufacturers. And I noticed that they just posted an hour ago, and they have 9 likes so far and 1 comment. Of course, that comment's like, interesting. What I've noticed is that the longer that the post goes, there's more people that like and comment it. So then when I comment, I'm commenting and it's replying to 100 people versus 10 people. Do you find that you tend to wait later in the day to start commenting? Or I listened to one of your podcasts too on a drive yesterday, and it was like, hey, that feeling of being the first commenter, it's either you're first and you give that warm and fuzzies to your prospect, or you wait till there's already 100, likes and supporting comments and insights, with a few comments, and then you come back with something insightful. What do you tend to do?
Yeah, so I don't have time, to be honest, to be that strategic about it. However, what I do find is when it pulls up for me in fist bump and I comment, I'll comment right then and there because it's in fist bump and it's the time I've set out for my day to do my commenting.
True.
And I do it.
Okay.
However, what also happens is LinkedIn will send me notifications too. So if a post starts getting more engagement, more and more engagement, then I'll go back in and I'll look and comment on comments. And then I'm back in the mix.
Yep. That makes sense. Okay. Very cool.
All right. Hey, Jonathan, I see your hand up. Go for it, my friend.
Hola, long-time listener, first-time caller. One thing, just to kind of piggyback on
full-time jokester.
Yeah, that's true. One thing kind of to piggyback on that I've found some success with is specifically tagging the person that I'm talking to or commenting with, because then it also adds a ping to them and I see that they immediately then respond, right? So it's the, great post, Tony, thank you for sharing, Brandon, et cetera, et cetera. And that really does help generate and facilitate that conversation if I'm looking to have one.
Absolutely. Thanks for adding that. I agree 1,000%. And I think I just didn't mention that today. So thanks for cleaning up after me.
I live to serve.
Right. There's a few of you still on here. If you have any other questions, or not even for me, just for each other, and turn it into a conversation. Love to be able to help you.
I've got another fist bump one.
Okay.
So in order to add someone to fist bump, do I need to, how do I say this, physically or digitally visit their page and then add them? Or can I add them on the browser and then, I don't know, like incognito, start to comment on them? I feel like as soon as I view someone's page, say it's your page, you're like, oh, okay, this guy viewed my page. And then all of a sudden I magically start showing up in the comments every 3 days. And in this case, I started on a Monday. So I've already commented twice on somebody, Monday and Thursday. It just seems very salesy.
There's something with the notifications or the viewed my profile that is out there. So number one, you gotta ask yourself or ask them. I intentionally, unintentionally, I just don't have time. I don't look all the time at who viewed my profile. So I'm not really paying attention. Maybe some people are, and maybe that's an issue. But the other thing is, I go back to, if your comments are valuable, they're insightful, they're encouraging, they're engaging, then who cares how often you're coming back to see my profile? Your comments are engaging.
Right.
So that's my answer to it. It may not be a perfect answer for all people, but we just can't do anything. If we're going to go look and see, we have two options. We rely on the news feed, which is LinkedIn's going to show me what LinkedIn wants to show me. I don't like that. I want to control my own destiny. I want to go comment and see what the people who I want to speak to are doing and saying and engaging with. So to do that, you will view their profile. Even with fist bump, it'll take you directly to the person's most recent post or post activity, but that's still part of viewing their profile because it's on their URL.
Oh, so they get notified that I viewed their profile when I go to comment on fist bump every time?
The view your profile isn't a perfect thing with LinkedIn. Like, they don't send it to anybody. It'll be in their notifications. It might be like 5 people viewed your profile today. They'd have to click it to go see. But then it also depends on what they pay for with LinkedIn. The free version of LinkedIn, I think, tells you, I forget now, but Jonathan, you might know. I think it tells you the last 5 people.
Yeah, something like that.
24 hours.
Right.
Okay.
I have a test account that I test that on, double checking, because sometimes I want to stay private. And so I want to make sure that I'm not being seen or the settings are correct. So, but yes, it's about that.
And you can do that too, right? You can go in, Joseph, to your own settings. And if you have a paid account, you can say, mark me as private. And then none of that will show up for people.
The other thing you can do on LinkedIn, by the way, is you can always ring their bell. So that will actually cause them to show up in your feed anytime that they post anything.
Oh, that's true.
So make sure if you have somebody that you're tracking, just ring the bell. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, that's the feature I've been using for the last 2 months before I found fist bump, and it's kind of overwhelming just because I follow so many people, and I try to. Yeah.
And there's on another time we can do it, or you can go into, if you're using fist bump, go into our FAQ. There's a feature in fist bump that I like. I mean, I like the bell, but it's not perfect. So what we created in fist bump is you got everybody in a list. So let's say you got 15 people in a specific list. You go into the list, you click the detail view, so it shows you all 10 people. In the right corner of the horizontal menu, it says LinkedIn post. If you click that, what it'll do is opens up LinkedIn, and it gives you a custom news feed of just those 10 people.
Right.
And then you can comment there. And I like doing that because when I go there and then I'll use the filter and say, show me all new posts in the last 24 hours. So that anything they've commented or they've published I'm there fresh. And I go through that. Fist bump will document everything I do and pull people out of my task for the day. And then when I go back into to fist bump and just go show me all my tasks, that's where I end up commenting on people's post activity because they haven't commented or they haven't published their own posts recently. And I hope that makes sense, because 95% of people on LinkedIn don't publish regularly. But when they're active and they're commenting and liking others, we go to their post activity, and that's where we can still comment, engage, and be seen and let our voice be heard.
True. And I think you mentioned this the other day when you and I had talked. It was you add about 25 to 30 people per group, per bucket.
Yeah.
Okay. The past few days, it's taken a long time. Again, this is totally part of the process, and I get it, to be insightful when commenting, because I want to say something about the article that they just posted about. So I've got to take, 2 or 3 minutes and skim through. I feel like I'm in college again. I'm like, okay, here's the gist. All right, here's my thought. And so it's a long process. Are you finding, you spend hours a day?
Yeah. So let's talk in more detail another time. And I see a couple more hands up here, but one thing, grab an article, throw it in Chat GPT and ask for a summary. That helps.
Yep.
But for me, it's, I like the go slow to move fast concept.
Mhm.
So if that article is something that's of interest to me too, I'm going to read it because it also helps me educate myself. It creates more intel and all that. But I hear you. It is a bit of a balance of where do you spend your time. What I found for me is commenting is time well spent for creating conversations, relationships, and opportunities.
100%.
Yeah. Let's see, Gail, I saw your hand up. Did I miss?
I'm here for you. Yeah, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay. First of all, this is very helpful. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a question though. In LinkedIn, I do comment a lot. I'm probably not as much as some people, but I do. But is there a certain protocol on when you share something? There are things that I can share that I feel comfortable sharing. Then there are other things that I don't know if the company would really want me to share it. Is there, I guess, a protocol that should be followed?
Yeah, are you asking like information that your company may not want you to share?
No. I'm talking about, maybe a client or a prospect that I'm hoping to work with, and they put something up like a congratulations that, they donated $1 million to a charity or something like that. And it's like, that's a great thing to share with people because it's not only helping to promote the company, but I don't necessarily know that that's my right to do that.
Yeah. I think the rule that I play by is if it's something that I would say to that person or share in a group environment and feel confident that it's a good thing to do, then I will comment it. But if it's something like that, what I would do is maybe message them and say, oh, I was thinking of commenting this, but I didn't know if that would be good or offensive or overstep or anything like that. I've done that, not a whole lot, but I've done that a few times just to make sure that I don't tag them and say something that they didn't want to be public.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I don't see any more hands up, but that doesn't mean, it might mean that I missed anything, but
sorry, Brandon, it's Aaron.
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Good. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Because I missed a little bit of this, had to take a couple calls. But first off, I saw that you were recording in the beginning. Are you going to make this available?
Yeah, it'll be available inside our community. Again,
Okay.
Modern Seller HQ now, changing pretty soon to Social Selling HQ, but yeah.
Okay, perfect. Second question is, so when you add somebody to Fist Bump, and say you've got a list and you want to go comment, did I hear you that it said it takes you to that person's profile and then you need to go to their activity section, or does it take you right to the activity section so that you can see their comments, their likes, and their posts?
It takes you right to the activity section.
Okay. So
Yeah,
if it does that,
one click takes you right where you need.
okay, perfect. Because if it does that, it won't show up as a profile view on their page. If you go right to their activity section, it does not show up as a profile view.
Interesting. It used to, if you did anything that had their main URL in, because their activity page is their main URL / all activity.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's great. And like I said, I just haven't worried about it.
Yeah.
Because
I'll test it out on yours today, but that's my understanding because that's what's being taught by others as well.
Cool.
Because
It's right.
I save the activity page URL
Yeah.
in a Notion document, so, but that's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you
for adding that.
I think,
And then The other piece that it does, if it's valuable to anybody, when you comment, Fist Bump will document it, and we leave it in our history inside of Fist Bump. But if you want it to go into any other tool, you want to go to your CRM, you want to go to like a Sales Loft or an Outreach or anything like that, we can integrate in there. And then your comment will go right into documentation, say in CRM, along with calls you've made, emails you sent. It'll just be right in all your activities, which is what I like about it.
Gotcha. And I was going to just, I guess, offer my feedback or comment about, I'm not sure who asked it or who made the comment about trying to comment on longer articles or trying to be thoughtful. One thing I'll do is I'll just save that post in my saved, or I'll push it over to the Reader app by Readwise. And I might just make a comment that says, hey, this looks interesting. Looking forward to diving deep into this one. And just to get, just so you don't have to, I don't get paralyzed by having to come up with something at that moment. And then I can always go back and, once I read it, then offer a take on that. So
that's a great suggestion. In fact, Bob, I think I did that with one of your posts a little while ago on a podcast or something you were on, and was like, and I put it into my podcast and, got to it sometime when I was driving. Thank you for adding that, Aaron. That's great.
I'm just glad somebody's listening to the podcast.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, Brandon, one of the other tools that you had mentioned in a podcast, and this is like January episode, I had a long trip and I had some windshield time, but there was a tool that you use and it was like $16 a month. I couldn't catch the name of it, but it gives you the analytics of how many connections you made, how many,
Shield app.
Shield
is awesome.
Yeah. Shieldapp.com, right, Aaron? Or whoever else said that.
It's either .com or .io.
Good point.
Do you still use it today? I mean, it was months ago.
I do. Honestly, I don't look at it as much because how many people are following me and all that, I don't care that much. But I do like to see my impressions and my engagements and my likes. Again, not from the vanity perspective, but from seeing, is my content resonating with the people who I want to speak with?
Right.
So I look at it for that perspective, but I just think data in general is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It motivates and leads.
100%.
Shield is good for repurposing content as well. Like you mentioned, Brandon, if you know what's hitting, so you can repurpose that content, maybe create a different hook or a little bit different, write it from a different perspective. Maybe I wrote something from an educational perspective and I want to write something from a more entertaining perspective. I can repurpose that, or just, schedule it out for six more months. So, because you don't have to come up with something original every single day.
Yeah, y'all notice a lot of my content just cycles with slight variations to it because new people follow, some people stop following. Just because you write something once doesn't mean that anybody got it, saw it, remembered it, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
No. Cool. Well, does anybody else have anything? If not, let's wrap up. We were going 30 minutes and we've gone 50, which is great. I love it.
Thank you, Brandon.